All we know is that a channel this epic deserves a supersized list. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 HBO characters of all time.
Let's end this the old way. You against me.
For this list, we're taking a look at the greatest characters that HBO has ever produced. Number 20, NoHo Hank, Barry.
But dear, what is with the Sour Patch attitude? Come on, man, we are bros.
Kicking off our list is a relatively new HBO character, but one who is nevertheless deserving of a place in the network's pantheon of great fictional personalities. The antithesis to the multitude of violent gangsters produced by HBO over the years, NoHo Hank is a naive Chechen mobster with a distaste for getting his hands dirty.
You know, clean up the blood, maybe add some French doors, maybe ping pong table right there. You know, I'm just riffing.
More likely to sport a snazzy disguise than a handgun, Hank is a veritable well of one-liners, with his absurd optimism serving as the perfect juxtaposition to the tragic world he inhabits. Fans of Barry might come for Bill Hader, more on him in a bit, but they stick around for Anthony Carrigan and his hilarious portrayal of NoHo Hank.
I'm dead man anyway, so you know what? Just do it.
Number 19, Angela Abar, Sister Knight, Watchmen.
There's a guy in my trunk. I knew you were going to tell us to round up the likelies.
Okay. Before you jump down our throats for beginning our list with not one but two characters who debuted in the last 2 years, allow us to explain. Angela Abar, also known as Sister Knight, is a badass of the highest order. She isn't just from the School of Hard Knocks, she's the freaking dean. The indomitable Watchmen protagonist is a juggernaut of justice, regardless of whether she's tracking down leads and kicking ass as Sister Knight, or protecting her family from fanatical racists in her own home. The conclusion of Game of Thrones left a major hole in HBO's badass heroine department, a mantle Angela Abar has been more than happy to fill.
Oh, shit.
Number 18, Lafayette Reynolds, True Blood.
Listen, don't blame the Ferrari just because your ass can't drive.
Season 1, Episode 5. That is the moment Lafayette Reynolds leapt off the screen and into our collective hearts thanks to that infamous AIDS burger scene. Who would have guessed that this small-town short-order cook would grow to become one of True Blood's most memorable characters?
I'm an American, and I got a say in who makes my food.
Well, baby, it's too late for that. Fagot's been breeding your cows, raising your chickens, even brewing your beer long before I walk my sexy ass up in this motherfucker. Everything on your goddamn table got AIDS.
As a testament to the character's popularity, Lafayette Reynolds stuck around for the entirety of the show's run, despite having been killed off in just the second book of the Southern Vampire Mystery series, upon which the show is based. Reynolds served as both an excellent source of comic relief, as well as a formidable ally to Sookie and company.
She could have just said so. Dead folk, why y'all gotta be so cryptic?
Number 17, Nelson Van Alden, Boardwalk Empire.
Hit me again. You'll regret it.
Let's get something straight. Enoch Nucky Thompson is a fantastic character, but HBO mob bosses are a dime a dozen and we had to cut some of them. Enter Nelson Van Alden. Van Alden began his character arc as a prohibition agent tasked with bringing Thompson down, and ended it as a murderer and bootlegger on the run from his former employer.
What kind of a man does that make you? Greedy. Just very greedy.
So you could say he had a pretty interesting run on Boardwalk Empire. Played by Michael Shannon, who received 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards for his performance, Nelson Van Alden somehow manages to be the show's most unredeemable yet oddly sympathetic character. His repressed and violent nature make him totally unpredictable, something that made him a whole lot of fun to watch for 5 seasons of this historical drama.
I am Nelson Casper Van Alden!
Number 16, Rustin Rust Cohle, True Detective.
As I recall, I had to take some personal time. See my dad. I mean, this is like, what, 17 years ago?
Few would argue against the statement that this anthology series peaked in season 1. And looking back, it becomes clear that that's because of Matthew McConaughey's revelatory turn as Detective Rust Cohle. A brilliant investigator with a tragic past, Cohle simultaneously annoyed his partner Marty Hart and entertained viewers with his philosophical musings, blunt demeanor, and obsessive tendencies.
But insanity defends. That's your ticket. That's your way out.
Whether he was unraveling suspects in the interrogation room, going undercover to solve a string of brutal crimes, or riding in the car with his partner and spouting nonsense about the universe, Rust Cohle was always worth the price of admission. The real crime was that we only got to see him on screen for a single season.
You've been going around bothering people, trying to open up old cases.
I am working. I have things to do. So type the report, man.
Number 15, Ari Gold, Entourage.
They're all just a number, like wife number 1 and therapist number 7. Good day.
Few characters embody the foul language, violent tendencies, and overtly controversial nature of HBO quite like Ari Gold. The man is a human wrecking ball of provocative statements and behavior.
That's too bad.
Ari, Jesus Christ!
Across 8 seasons and a movie, he never failed to entertain viewers with his unwavering support of his top client Vincent Chase, as well as his constant belittling of Chase's best buds E, Drama, and Turtle. Perhaps best defined by his relationships with other people, Gold was a brutal dictator to his employees, particularly Lloyd, and an overbearing husband to his wife Melissa.
You are my inspiration, Ari. I'm still learning to be more like you.
No, you're not like me and you don't want to be. You're fair and you're honest and you don't like women.
The kind of character you cannot help but like despite his plethora of negative qualities, Ari Gold remains one of HBO's greatest creations.
But when I trim the fat off this shithole and put it all under the Miller Gold banner, you will see what it could have been if you would have kept me around.
Oh, I look forward to that.
Number 14, The Girls, Sex and the City.
Do we want another round? What do you think? 4 more, please.
Why debate which of these 4 iconic TV characters deserves a spot on our list when we can just include all of them? Sex and the City follows Carrie, Samantha, Charlotte, and Miranda as they attempt to traverse the complex social landscape of New York City.
He just looks so hurt, like a kid in one of those big-eyed velvet paintings.
The show doesn't just offer us a glimpse into their lives, it puts them under a microscope, allowing viewers to truly experience the lives, loves, and lusts of each character. As they often discussed and lived through issues that affected many a modern woman, the show became a TV sensation. One that lives on through the many women who continue to debate with their friends whether they're a Carrie or a Samantha.
I'm living with skid marks, Guy. Oh no! Oh, terrible!
Number 13, Russell Stringer Bell, The Wire.
Look, man, I don't know why we gotta wait 3 years for that shit. I'm ready to run now.
Offering a respite from the hot-blooded gangsters he's surrounded by, Russell Stringer Bell is a cold and calculating businessman with one eye on the street and one on the penthouse. Brilliantly brought to life by Idris Elba, Bell is the finesse to Avon Barksdale's frankness.
No, you're not gonna bring that corner bullshit up in here, you hear me?
Cool, calm, and collected, Bell is capable of solving any problem thrown his way. While he'd rather use a pen than a gun, he isn't afraid to do what's necessary for the Barksdale organization. A contemplative gangster of the highest order, Bell's pursuit of a better life is not without consequences. In the end, it's Stringer's lack of understanding for the world he inhabits that leads to his demise. Still, we'll always remember him for his unconventional take on the street thug trope.
You need to relax more, man. When time is right, I will.
Number 12, Kevin Garvey, The Leftovers.
I don't know what's happening to me. So can you call me when you get the message? And that's just I need you.
This high-concept show featured no shortage of fantastic characters. However, if we had to pick just one, we're going with Police Chief Kevin Garvey. Played by Justin Theroux, Garvey is forced to deal with the sudden departure on multiple fronts, with his job putting him in conflict with the guilty remnant organization and his home life in tatters thanks to the departure of his wife and son.
I've been seeing someone.
Through it all, Garvey remains a strong voice of reason for the townspeople, despite the fact that he's going through some pretty intense emotional turmoil inside his own head. In a world flipped upside down, Kevin Garvey is our guide, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
That's why in my first 100 days in office, I introduced legislation I'm the president.
Number 11, Arya Stark, Game of Thrones.
Sansa can keep her sewing needles. I've got a needle of my own.
The fact that it took 9 entries for us to reach our first Game of Thrones character is a testament to HBO's writers. Okay, full disclosure, there will be more Game of Thrones down the line, but for now, let's focus on no one. Sorry, we mean Arya Stark.
Something wrong with your leg, boy.
What do you mean?
Arya undergoes one of the show's most dramatic character arcs, yet manages to remain true to herself through it all. The girl we meet in episode 1 is the same woman who sails off into the sunset in episode 73, albeit with a few more notches on the hilt of her sword. Fiercely loyal to her friends and family, Arya always stands up for her beliefs, regardless of the consequences. Oh, and she killed the Night King. Enough said.
I was never going to be as good a lady as you. So I had to be something else.
Number 10, Barry Berkman, Barry.
My queen, my lord, the queen is dead.
When ex-Marine and current hitman Barry Berkman heads to Los Angeles to do a job, he inadvertently finds himself longing to become an actor. Yeah, you can see why this show got picked up. Played to perfection by Bill Hader, Barry is without a doubt one of the most unique characters to grace the small screen in years. He's a violent, temperamental, lonely man that deep down longs for acceptance and friendship. Yet every time he attempts to better himself, he only winds up digging a deeper hole. Barry's dry personality is often at odds with the colorful characters he surrounds himself with, causing him to stand out like a sore thumb. In his world, that means constant trouble, but for the viewer, it is a goldmine of entertainment. Number 9, Selina Meyer, Veep.
You just say you'll cut tax maps. Don't be elite, Pete. Kiss a fat baby, Amy. Set yourself free.
Okay, let's be honest. This show was overflowing with hilarious and iconic characters, from Gary to Jonah. However, the one person who managed to keep all those wacky personalities in line was its titular vice president, Selina Meyer.
Why didn't you just take the good one of me, Photoshop it in?
I can't airbrush history, ma'am. I'm not Joseph Stalin.
No, that's true. You're not. You don't have a tenth of his charm.
Quick to dole out verbal lashings to subordinates and peers alike, and eschewing her responsibilities as mother in favor of climbing the political ladder, Selina Meyer was unlike any fictional politician the world had ever seen. The role garnered Julia Louis-Dreyfus a slew of awards, including a whopping 9 Primetime Emmy Awards, 3 of which were for her contributions as a producer.
Okay, the rule book's been torn up now, and America is wiping its nasty ass with it.
Number 8, Kenny Powers, Eastbound and Down.
He shakes off a sign. Now he's ready. 3-2 pitch. Struck him out!
Abrasive, egotistical, lazy. These are all words that can be used to describe Kenny Powers. Oh, and let's not forget racist. That may not sound like the winning combination for one of HBO's all-time great characters, but bubbling beneath the surface of those harsh descriptors is a man trying his best.
Honey, I love you. I think you're a terrific girl, but you have clothes like a f***ing dickhead.
After getting bumped from Major League Baseball for the aforementioned personality traits, Powers moves back home to work as a gym teacher. Through it all, he dreams of making it back to the big leagues, but continually torpedoes his goals thanks to his various personal issues.
My dad said you ruined baseball.
You know what? I can already tell that I don't like you, and I'm probably not gonna like you, no matter how many pull-ups or push-ups you do.
Still, Powers is endlessly entertaining, and the TV trope of dropping a big personality into a small town never really gets old. At least not for us. Number 7, Carmela Soprano, The Sopranos.
Mother of God, Janice. Are all of you Sopranos the same? I asked you nicely to stay out of it. You're pretending you don't hear me.
The wife of mob boss Tony Soprano, Carmela is far from a one-note character. Thanks to the nuanced performance of Edie Falco, which won her 2 Golden Globes and 3 Primetime Emmy Awards, Carmela Soprano serves as the emotional crux upon which The Sopranos stands.
I hope you apologize to him.
For what?
Tony, you promised him you were going to be at his swim meet.
She's a deeply conflicted character who has difficulty reconciling with Tony's violent line of work, but accepts the ill-gotten luxuries he bestows upon her nevertheless. While she may be married to a violent gangster who cheats on her with regularity, Carmela is anything but placid.
So what do you think? Should I just paint, maybe, or do something sort of plainish? Just grass cloth, maybe, or... Oh, Jesus.
She speaks her mind and ventures out on her own sexual adventures when the mood strikes her. In this way, she isn't so different from Tony. Still, she offers a compelling and necessary contrast to her husband that we find totally engaging.
What looks good tonight?
I don't know.
Number 6, Daenerys Targaryen, Game of Thrones. Now, this is what we'd call a dramatic character arc. When we first meet Daenerys Targaryen, she is a meek little girl who's forced into an arranged marriage with a violent brute. 8 seasons later, and she'd risen to become the Queen of the 7 Kingdoms.
You stand in the presence of Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, rightful heir to the Iron Throne, rightful queen of the Andals and the First Men, protector of the Seven Kingdoms.
She accomplished this feat by always believing in herself and refusing to give up even when faced with the harshest of circumstances. Stolen dragons? No problem. Revolted Marine? Child's play. An army of undead monsters? Okay, that one was pretty hard to overcome. Did her descent into madness feel rushed? Arguably, yeah, but along the way, she served as a role model to children all across the world, thanks to her compassion, perseverance, and inner strength.
Dracarys.
Number 5, Al Swearengen, Deadwood.
I had a vision. It had happened.
This tragically short-lived HBO series produced many a great character, though none was better than Al Swearengen. Based on a real 19th century brothel owner, Swearengen was brought back to life thanks to the Golden Globe-winning performance of English actor Ian McShane.
Remember this when you run your own place. That type guy hanging around gets people agitated. Forces them to take a position, one side or the other.
The key cog in a show defined by its sex, violence, and profanity, Al Swearengen reveled in the chaos of his environment and was an active participant in it.
Maybe the magistrate needs to die. Maybe he does. He won't come back here without a resolution. He'll know what's waiting for him.
While he was firmly entrenched as the show's primary villain throughout the first season, Swearengen later evolved into something of an anti-hero, protecting the town of Deadwood from would-be leeches. Word to the wise, Al Swearengen is a character best enjoyed far out of earshot of the nearest child.
Isn't there a simpler way of not pissing off the big vipers?
Number 4, Tyrion Lannister, Game of Thrones.
All my life, you've wanted me dead.
Yes.
He may have started off as a womanizing drunk, but by the time Game of Thrones reached its startling conclusion, Tyrion had become one of the most important people in all of Westeros. Not one to suffer any fools, despite occasionally being one, Tyrion was also a master manipulator, a gifted tactician, and a harbinger of positive change.
One word, and I hit you again.
He often found himself stuck between a rock and a hard place, but always managed to talk his way out of it. Through it all, he maintained his wry sense of humor, which served him well in dire situations. Simply put, if we could have a drink with any Game of Thrones character, it would be Tyrion hands down.
I did not kill Joffrey, but I wish that I had.
Number 3, Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David might play a fictionalized version of himself on Curb Your Enthusiasm, but we have a sneaking suspicion that he's more like his TV counterpart than he lets on. Larry David is without a doubt one of the greatest creations HBO has ever had the honor of producing.
Spider! Oh my God! Spider!
Come on. Larry, what is the matter with you killing a live creature? What is wrong with you?
A neurotic of the highest order, David finds himself in conflict with the entire world in Curb, getting into petty feuds, fights, and debates with whomever happens to cross his path. Larry David is the everyman taken to the extreme, and we thank our lucky stars every day that the real-life David was brave enough to make a show this daring for our amusement. Quick side note, if this list were a top 40, we would have definitely made room for Leon Black.
Why you got no credit cards? You got no credit cards at all? Why you don't have a credit card, sir?
You have no credit cards?
Number 2, Omar Litle, The Wire.
Yo! Hey, yo!
For Omar Litle, robbing drug dealers isn't just a job, it's his life. That should tell you everything you need to know about this iconic HBO character. While The Wire mainly focuses on the realistic conflict between the Baltimore Police Department and members of the city's drug trade, it was increasingly forced to find more and more time for Omar Litle.
Hey, yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.
The character's popularity grew with each passing season, thanks in no small part to his apparently unlimited badassery. He outsmarted Stringer Bell, rained down terror upon Marlo Stanfield, and petrified Baltimore's drug-pushing community. You know you're a straight-up G when people literally flee in terror at the sight of you whistling your way down the street.
I don't see no sweat in your brow neither, bruh.
While each of these characters impacted their shows for the better, our number 1 pick indelibly changed television forever by helping to kick off a new golden age of premium programming. Even if I hadn't said that, it's probably obvious, but let's list off some honorable mentions and then we'll see who's at the top.
I've changed my mind, let him go. Step back 3 paces. Turn around. Close your eyes. Power is power.
Tea's held up. He said it's start without him. Right? Yeah.
Life doesn't have to be miserable just because you are. Oh, yeah, I know. Weird shit happened to you, but you know what? It happened to all of us.
Sister, don't send me to that loony bin. I will come to your meetings. I will stop taking drugs.
You think I'm this dried-up, middle-aged woman. Look at the jokes you write. Look at this tracksuit you make me wear, all saying the same thing. I'm old, I'm annoying.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Tony Soprano, The Sopranos.
You took an oath, and you broke it.
Tony Soprano was arguably HBO's first bona fide anti-hero, a morally ambiguous New Jersey mafioso who was just as likely to kill you with his bare hands as he was to spend quality time with his family. He's the kind of character whose reputation demands respect. A man who can have you killed with the snap of his fingers, but is equally at home doing the deed himself.
Good morning, Rat.
Who are you? What is this?
Don't make me laugh.
And yet, this description barely scratches the surface, as Tony Soprano was so much more than just another TV crime boss. Gifted with 6 seasons to flesh out the character, James Gandolfini delivered a layered performance for the ages. The result was a character so thoroughly entertaining that it would be worth risking a trip inside his violent world for a closer look. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.